Millennials have been unusually unlucky. Burdened by student loan debt, they've also been hit by 2 major recessions within the first decade of their careers.
Those formative years of entering the jobs market really set the trajectory for not only your career, but your wealth and income over time.
I saw the best minds of my generation crippled by neurosis, working hysterical tired, dragging themselves through the data lines at dawn, seeking connection. Real-time living islands, burning for any meaningful way to use their enlightenment in the already too bright light.
My husband and I are older millennials. So we graduated into one economic crisis and then another, couldn't get jobs, bounced from state to state, left the country, came back.
Compared to Gen X, twice as many millennials took on student debt to go to college or grad school. And for those who took on debt, on average, it was 50% more than Gen Xers. It also doesn't help that college was dramatically more expensive for us, about twice as much. For many of us, our starting salaries were lower than what you'd normally expect. Millennials earn 20% less than baby boomers did at the same age. We can't buy a house. We're less able to save for a rainy day. We hesitated to get married or have kids.
The first salaried job my husband got in the country only paid him around $30,000 a year, and he has a master's. I didn't get anything like that until I went back to school for a second master's in education. Still, my earning potential as an educator is capped somewhere around $60,000 a year, at least for now. My husband, after 8 years in his job, is now finally making over $50,000 a year. That happened last year, for the first time.
Whose accusations and ablatives replaced the hard-focused nominatives. Whose monthly, weekly, daily lifestyle expenses took 20% off of them. Whose commerce demanded they act out advertisements which were advertisements. Whose subsidized subcultures were drowned out by the subliminal hum of neon in the background of the street they'd never visit but always buy from, placed by the CEO fathers they hated and one day wished to become.
The bootstrap-esque financial advice that's geared towards millennials? Give up your lattes, stop majoring in English, save enough for a down payment by age 30, is most likely being doled out by the boomers who never had student debt to reckon with, and whose bootstraps were always within easy reach.
When I was trying to buy my first home, I wasn't buying smashed avocados for $19 and 4 coffees at $4
So you
each.
reckon that's real? That people actually, young people, actually end up just spending their money and then whinge about the fact they can't get into the property market?
Oh, there's no question it's real.
And take up the scepter of Lux Aeterna, used to beat every last human into the submission of the top of the food chain and Hamiltonian economic stability, waking in the private night, shedding tears they had spent a lifetime holding back, and for what?
I always thought that by the time I was in my late 30s, I'd have a job that paid me enough money to live on, and I'd have all my kids, 2, maybe 3, just like my parents. I'd be able to afford a house, I'd be able to travel, I'd be able to save. Some of those things have actually come true. It's taken us a long time, but we have some savings, although we can't afford any property. We are better off than a lot of people our age.
Studies show that for the first time in American history, young adults are more likely to live with their parents rather than their partners. Millennials aren't just getting married later. Many are choosing to never get married at all. And increasingly, the biggest determinant of whether millennials can afford to buy property isn't their own income. It's the degree to which they benefit from generational wealth.
With the hope that one day their children would have it better in a way they never could have, and never have to deal with the repressive desublimation, the relative deprivation, the unsatisfactory and utterly perfect universal solipsism.
Most days when I wake up to NPR, I'm devastated by the news. I can't see a way for things to get better, and I hope I'm wrong. As Carl Sagan once said, like it or not, the earth is where we make our stand. We've got to figure out how to make our stand as a generation. We'll have to make our own way forward. I don't think that help will come from elsewhere. We have to save ourselves.